today we will be looking at the subject healthy competition. While I was preparing for this lecture, I thought I knew exactly what I wanted to say until I continued to study, and at the end of the day came up with this lecture. For me, it is actually somewhat a learning process, and I'm grateful to God that I took some time to do the study, healthy competition. So what is the definition of healthy competition? I found a very simple definition: competing against your destiny. Anytime, from the perspective of this particular lecture, anytime somebody else is involved in the competition, chances are very high it will not be a healthy competition. But from the perspective of this lecture today, we call healthy competition competing against your destiny. Or in another way, competing against yourself, competing against your personal potential. You want to be the best that you can be. It does not matter what other people are working towards. A destiny. Paul did say, they measuring themselves by themselves and comparing themselves among themselves, they are not wise. You are familiar with that? Anytime either you finish an exam or your children finish an exam and they come to tell you, I am first, or I am second, or maybe I am 10th, you are comparing them with themselves. Is that not? And what Paul says is that is not a wise thing to do. In real life, you will discover that all the second, third, do they matter? In real life, do they matter? Well, I can as well tell you, in my set in secondary school, I was the best candidate. I was the best student in my set. But 40 years later, because I came out of secondary school in 1980, 40 years later, I can see what other people are doing. Do you get my point? And there are areas where I am still better than anybody else in the class. But there are areas where other members of the class are far better than I am. There are some of them, I don't have 1/10 the amount of money. 1/10 the amount of money they have. Some of them, their standing in the society is far bigger than my own. Well, maybe I can say in academics, I still remain one of the best in the class. But does it really matter? No. So, Paul, I believe we should take what he says seriously. Anytime you find yourself measuring yourself by somebody else's yardstick, I am better than this person. I have more money than this person. I am more handsome than this person. My house is bigger than this person. My car is better than this person. You are engaged in what? Foolishness. find yourself measuring yourselves by other people, you are against our definition of healthy competition. Measuring yourself, competing against your destiny. So once somebody else is involved, then you know you are not wise. Or when you compare yourselves among other people. John did teach us something very close to what Paul said. He said, a man can receive nothing except it be given him from heaven. Okay? It is based on this knowledge that Paul says, if you are comparing yourself with any other person, you are not wise. If you are comparing yourself with any other person, you are not wise. Do you get my point? Because it is heaven that gives A something that distinguishes him. It is heaven that gives B something else that distinguishes him. So when A and B begins to compete and compare themselves by themselves, you know that John is teaching them something? I am better than you. Oh, agreed. But it says, a man can receive nothing except it be given him from heaven. So if I am better than you in an area of life, is it something I should boast about? No. The reason I am better than you in that area of life is because that area of life has been given to me from heaven. Okay? If I discover that you are better than me in some area of life, I have no business being envious of you. But if I am competing against my own destiny, I should say, God, where is that thing you have given me from heaven that distinguishes my life? Do you understand me? So we have no business on this earth to compare ourselves with anybody. I'll bring us 6 quick illustrations and then we will conclude. Illustration 1. Millipede compete with a horse in a race. Huh? You know what millipede is? That is a millipede. The reason it's called a millipede is it has so many feet. Do you understand? When it is moving, it moves the feet in a wave. It takes a long time to cover a short distance. Okay? Is it abnormal? Is the millipede abnormal? Is the millipede abnormal? No. Is the millipede to blame for the speed at which it goes? No. The creator of the millipede said, this is what I want you to be. The same creator, he made horse. Horse has 4 legs, 2 front ones, 2 back ones. And not only that, horse is a strong animal and it is known for speed. Is that correct? So, is there any basis on this earth for millipede to say, a horse, come, let us compete in a race? Is that a healthy competition? Certainly it cannot be. Okay? The millipede should say, well, I know this is the way God made you. Fine. Continue to go at the lightning speed that you are going. As for me, I will go at the speed that I am made to go in. We are talking about healthy competition. Illustration number 2. Should Lionel Messi go into the boxing ring with Anthony Joshua? Should he ever try it? If you know Lionel Messi very well, you see that he's a smallish individual. If Anthony Joshua just breathed on him, he would he will melt. Now, Lionel Messi is a master in an area of sport. Anthony Joshua is a master in another area of sports. So, it is an unhealthy competition to bring Lionel Messi into the ring with Anthony Joshua, a boxing match. Okay? The same way that it is unhealthy to bring Anthony Joshua into a football pitch and say, let us watch how you do against Messi. Maybe you make Anthony Joshua the defender, and you make Messi the striker. Does Joshua has any hope? Or no, it's better still, make Joshua the goalkeeper and Lionel Messi the striker. He is going to be trying to score a penalty kick. Any hope for Joshua? We are trying to bring you into an understanding that there is nothing wrong with you. The only thing is you are different from another person. The endowment, another person. The endowment, you remember that's what John said? A man can receive nothing except it is given him from heaven. So I'm happy with what I have. Okay? Irrespective of what any other person has, I am happy with mine. I don't compete with anybody. Talking about healthy competition. Let's look at number 3. Can a rat compete with tilapia in a swimming contest? Huh? Will it work? Huh? They are on different lanes in life. A rat walks on the ground. If you bring tilapia out of the water, on the ground, if you bring tilapia out of the water to say, okay, come and stand with rat and run a race, what will happen to tilapia? It will die. You understand? You take rat to the river and say, you see your mate is swimming. Now, you two go inside and go and swim like your mate. What will happen to the rat? It will die. Sometimes parents compare children. You were born by me and your mother. Both of you were in the same womb. It is true. Did the Bible say a man can receive nothing except what is given to him in the womb? Is that what it says? No. You can be in the same womb, and what heaven gives to A is different from what heaven gives to B. You are made in such a way that you do well in some certain circumstances, whereas other people may not do as well in those circumstances. You can be sure there are many people who have had themselves destroyed because they are trying to do what A is doing. They call it the rat race, or being like the Jones and the Joneses. I know I'm one of those who usually say that you should not be a civil servant. But if God has made you a civil servant, I think you should continue. Abi? But as a civil servant, try some leg and do business more. Do you understand? Because if you try business, after you retire, that business will collapse. All your gratuity, what will happen to it? It's like you are at the level of primary school in business, and you are facing PhD business. Can you survive? No. The fact that in medicine you reach PhD, or in pharmacology you reach PhD, or in history you have reached PhD, does it mean in business you are at the level of PhD? No, you are still in primary school. Okay? So if you want to arrive at a high extent, at the time you are retiring, you better start early. It takes many years, you know. Primary school is 6 years. Secondary school is also 6 years. Degree is how many years? 4 years. You are talking of at least 16 years if you want to be a graduate businessman. Do you understand? So you start early. Let me illustrate. One of the best products of Nigeria is Wole Soyinka, isn't it? He has a Nobel laureate. Very intelligent. You understand? Well, one of the richest man in this, the richest black man anyway in this world is who? Aliko Dangote. Should Wole Soyinka measure his monetary value with that of Aliko Dangote? Or Wole Soyinka should tell Aliko, you see, come meet me in Abuja. All the money that you have and all the money that I have, we will line the road from Abuja to Lagos and see whose money will finish first. Who will lose that competition? Wole Soyinka Oro many years ago. And it was there that I was told that one of the ways that two businessmen, called themselves out for competition. At that time, 20 naira was the highest denomination of the naira. And what is the competition? They said, let us line the road from Oro to Lagos with 20 naira note and see whose money will finish first. So that, you should not be talking to me anyhow like that. Let us demonstrate. Well, maybe they can demonstrate, but you see, Wole Soyinka cannot try that with, because all the money that Nobel Foundation gave him is probably less than what this man makes in one day. Do you understand? So do you understand? So there is no basis of financial competition between them, but each of them is a distinguished individual. Everything is not measured in terms of money. That's one thing Nigerians must hear. So, that I am not a billionaire does not mean I am inferior to you. You spent your time chasing naira. I have spent my time chasing something else. Once I get what I'm chasing, you too, you can get what you are chasing. That's why we said healthy competition is competing with your destiny. You understand? You can say, oh, well, it may be his destiny to be, you understand? You can say, oh, well, it may be his destiny to be a great literature guru, and his destiny to be a business mogul. So there is no need to compete among themselves. Let's take one or two more illustrations and then we conclude. Now, I'm sure you know that turkey is a bird, isn't it? The same way that the eagle is a bird. Can turkey fly like the eagle? Although both of them are birds. Both of them have what? Wings. But can turkey? If the joy of turkey is how I will beat eagle in a flying competition, it will never be joyful. So your joy, your satisfaction has nothing to do with what the other person is doing. You must find, and are both of them God's creature? They're God's creature. Did God make mistake in making any of them? No. He has made each of them the way they are. Okay? So it is very important for us to bear that in mind. The turkey will never fly like the eagle. But let me ask you a question. How many times has eagle been useful to you at Christmas? Huh? How many times has eagle been useful to you at Christmas? People will come to eat Christmas or at New Year, and you'll tell them, this is eagle meat that I'm giving you. How many of you have eaten eagle meat before? No. So, the eagle has its usefulness. The eagle has its usefulness. The turkey also has its usefulness. They must not pick an area of life as the determinant of their joy. Because one person may be able to do it better than the other. And then the last illustration before we conclude. Well, I don't know how many of you are old enough to know Olikoye Ransom Kuti. He was a professor of pediatrics, a distinguished academic. For 9 years or thereabout, he was the health minister for Nigeria. Dictate to. He tells you, this is what I want to do. And the president says it's okay. Because that was the agreement before he accepted the job. You understand? He didn't beg to apply. They begged to bring him in. Okay? Now, with that kind of thing, should he sit literature examination with Chinua Achebe? Eh? He said, you are just writing. You think you are the only one who know book. Oh yeah, let them set literature exam for the two of us. The distinguished pediatrician may discover that he will score less than 10% in literature. So, what am I saying? Don't compete in an area where you don't have the grace. You understand? Otherwise, losing a battle, losing your self-worth, not doing well. Find an area of life where you are good. Develop that area. When I was in school, there are people they call all-rounder. You know the meaning of all-rounder? It means any subject is very good. It's a lie. It's because they haven't boxed him to a real corner. Everyone have their natural tendencies given by God. There is no all-rounder in this world. You do your best and leave the rest for other people to do. The area where you are very good, some other people are poor. But that person who is poor in the area where you are very good, he may be excellent where you yourself, you are poor. So, where you yourself, you are poor. So, in competing with your destiny, you have an important role to do. You find out, where can I do well? It's not everyone that will be a good president even. Are you aware? It's not everyone that will be a good senator. You know, there are some of our senators who have not sponsored one bill after 16 years in the Senate. If at the end of the day they say, okay, for all these your years in the Senate, how many laws have you made? Nothing. Okay? But he may be very good in keeping the Senate together. No bill, but he's maintaining peace among the people. Do you understand? Such an individual. You don't measure him only by how many bills. Because there are people who are sponsoring bills and they are also scattering the Senate. So you need somebody who is not sponsoring any bill to hold such people in check. That's why I will advise you before we move on. There's nobody who is useless. Sometimes people give you so much pain, you want them to die. Don't kill everybody. Because after you have killed everybody, you will be the only one. One day you will need help. All the people who would have helped you, you have already killed them. And what will happen to you? Nada, you did. Somebody may be useless to you in an area of life, no worries. Find an area of life, no worries. Find an area where that person can be useful to you. Do you understand? So, I got to a level in life now, whatever you do, I thank God for your life. Because I know eventually when you get into an area where you are good, you'll be a blessing. So I just quietly pray for you. This person, God, show him his own area of influence. Now, we begin to round up. Everyone has a path designed by the Creator ahead of him or her. It's just like, it's not everybody who goes to Britain or who goes to America, who goes to Australia. I know people who have done very badly. Why? Because they were pursuing a path that God didn't put for them. They told me a story about one of the doctors who traveled, who did so badly that he had no house to live. One day he had to sleep outside. Snow caught one of his legs. Eventually they had to amputate that leg. But there are other ones who have done excellently. Look, Paul said, let us run with patience the race that is set before us. Isn't it? Let us run with patience the race that is set before us. The race that is set before me is different from the race that is set before you. Is that correct? The person who set this race is your Creator. And he's the one who will mark you at the end of the day. Okay? Let us run with patience, with perseverance, with endurance, the race that is set before us. Don't cross into another person's lane because his own race may be different from your own race. And I have written here, God equips and prepares you for the race set before you. If you are running a race that God didn't set before you, can you cry to God to prepare you for that race? No. At best, you won't do it very well. Is the race set before Caterpillar the same race set before Cutlass? Are they set before Cutlass? Are they running the same race? Caterpillar and if Cutlass wants to do the work of Caterpillar, it will die. Do you understand me? If Caterpillar wants to do the work assigned to Cutlass, it will look as if it is underutilized. Do you understand? And that is where we close today. Sometimes you may be bigger than those you are competing with. You are rejoicing. Yeah, I am better than this person. Do you know your own potential? Do you know the potential of that person? Do you understand? That person that you say you are better than is possible of his potential. Is that correct? And you that you are better than him, you have achieved 10% of your own potential. That's one of the problems with competition. Okay? In boxing, also in wrestling, that's what you call sparring partners. Your practice partners. Don't go and look for kindergarten as a sparring partner when you are a PhD student. Do you understand me? You will underperform. Let God open your ears. Let God open your eyes so that you will know the level. And that's why we are saying healthy competition is not competition with anybody. It's a competition. It is competition against your own destiny. God Almighty will help you. In Jesus' name.